Hey, this is the video for 5.10, Impacts of Urbanization. So go ahead and check out the overview and set up your guided notes. So urbanization, very simple definition, it's becoming urban or becoming cities, converting natural land into urban areas. So the population trends over the last 65 years has been shifting from a rural population to an urban population, and that happened around 20 years ago. So now we have more people globally that are living in cities than we're living in rural areas. And this is a trend. The rural populations will probably be going down because a lot of countries are experiencing demographic transition, and that involves a lot of people moving into the cities. So urbanization is because there's opportunities, so people will move from an agrarian or an agricultural-based society into an industrial-based society. So this can result in habitat destruction because of the urban sprawl and all of these HIPCOs. A lot of them are also related to this as well, which we'll be discussing. But there's also infrastructure that is constructed, and that's from roads and buildings and other services like electricity and so on. So infrastructure is a benefit of urbanization. And that can impact the hydrology of an ecosystem because we are building impervious surfaces. So surfaces like concrete and asphalt do not allow infiltration. So what happens is you can have a lot of runoff. You will have higher evaporation. You will have less infiltration. There's also a life expectancy can be impacted because there's better access. Like life expectancy is typically higher in urban areas because there's better access to medical care. Now, if you're deep in polluted urban areas, we're talking there's going to be other impacts. But in general, you have better chances of surviving when you have better access to medical care. And also carbon dioxide is going to be increasing because of all of the fossil fuel combustion. In fact, fossil fuel combustion increases, especially when you're driving to and from work every single day. So we have what is called urban blight, and that is when the population shifts from the city into the suburbs. And what happens is the people move from, in the center of the city, they'll move out to the suburban areas, and that will shift the population where the taxes are also collected. Less taxes are going to be collected inside the city limits. So when you lose that tax revenue, you will have to cut specific services, and these services may cause some neighborhoods to decline, and then that's going to cause more people to move out of the inner city. This is what urban blight is. It is a positive feedback loop because it is pretty much self-perpetuating and it can continue on its own. So what are the impacts on hydrology, the impacts of urbanization? So when you have a rural environment where you have tree cover, where you have adequate soil and plant material, you notice you have a lot of evapotranspiration and you have a lot of deep infiltration. So 40% of it, you don't really have to know the percentages. You should just know that evapotranspiration, there's 40% because you have a lot of plants. There's going to be 10% runoff, 25% deep infiltration, 25% surface infiltration. So half of the water is going into the soil. Now, when you have cities being built, you're going to have more than half of the water is going to run off. And that's because only 15% of the water is able to be infiltrated. 5% will be infiltrated deep within the soil, and 10% will be just infiltrated just under the surface. You're going to have roughly similar amounts of evapotranspiration, slightly less in the cities, and that's probably more from evaporation and less from transpiration. In the forested area, you're going to have more from from transpiration, which is water evaporating from the trees' leaves. Okay, what I would like you to do is respond to this check for understanding. And for FRQ practice, please explain one impact that urbanization has on the hydrology of an ecosystem. I hope that this video was informative. I thank you for your attention, and I will see you soon.